So, welcome back to the YouTube channel, guys. Welcome back to Twitch. We're quickly going over the Black Friday ships, as somebody has requested if I can go over them and tell you my thoughts about them, which one are worth to get this year, and in general, my opinion about the Black Friday crates and so on. So, you have 31 chips you can get out of total in the crates. We're quickly gonna go over them, and then I just want to tell you something regardless. If you want to try your luck and gamba for them, most of the ships are pretty decent here. But now let me explain. There's a lot of people who are sitting here and on the video watching, and they're waiting for the Christmas patch because there's these Christmas crates and they can get like a hell lot of different chips. One thing is worth noting though, and if you try to even go for these crates, if you don't have a lot of ships, the Black Friday crates are far better to go for than the Christmas crates. I just want to clarify that right now, because you have a 12% chance to get any of these ships, and the 12% chance is equally distributed. So you have the same chance if it drops to get a Lazo or a Pommern or a Yoshino or a Jobard and so on. With the Christmas crates, it usually works a bit different, that when you drop a ship, it tends to give you first the lower tier ones, and the super duper rare ones such as Smaland have like, I don't know, 0.01% chance to drop then. So keep that in mind. Meanwhile, here all the ships have the same drop chance of 12%, which is really important. So if you don't have a lot of ships and you want to get maybe Creamian or want to try your luck, these ones are far better than the Christmas ones, because the Christmas ones are mainly for people who play the game a lot and have already most lower tier premiums and so on. They're just missing, for example, a Smaland. But yeah, we're gonna go quickly over the ships. You can get out of it a Kaga B. Most of them are, all of them are clones from the original premiums, but the Kaga B, absolutely strong CV, one of the best tier 8 CVs. If you want to see more gameplay regarding it, I'm not really doing CV content, but it is one hell of a CV. The only CV that's also pretty good on tier 8 that comes close to it is, in my opinion, Chekalov, which is also in here. Cossack, absolute amazing all-round DD. You can play it perfect, like it really excels in ranked. It's one of the best tier 8 ranked picks in the game. You have pretty good guns, you have insanely good concealment, you have British smoke screens, some decent torpedoes. So definitely one of the best ranked picks as well. Yeah, and it's a solid tier 8 as well. It's also pretty decent in randoms, but again, then if you fight tier 10s, tier 8 matchmaking. But still one of the best DDs, in my opinion, to take out for ranked. Now, Graf Zeppelin is more like a mean pick. The CV itself is okay, but it does, since we have manual secondaries on CVs, it can be kind of hilarious to play with the guns. But the question is then, if you play fully for the guns on a CV, is it actually worth playing a CV and not just a cruiser or battleship at this point? Still, the manual secondaries did give this thing an incredible buff in that department, because you have absurd DPM on it. So it's alright as well. Tirpitz, an all-time classic. Nothing too fancy. I think it's a bit power crapped. Like, it's still a decent ship, it's still a BB, it still has torpedoes and so on. You have Turtleback, secondaries are okay, although I wouldn't build for them. Main guns are also okay, but they do tend to have kind of weird accuracy from time to time. But they do have decent reload, and the ship can still dish out quite some damage. So it's not a bad pick, but I do think a fair few tech tier 8s are better, for example, such as Los Andes, not Los Andes, Ipiranga when it comes to brawling, or the Zeton and so on. And I also think the Bismarck is overall better than this. Napoli, one of the best tier 10 cruisers in the game. Keep in mind also, while I go over these ones, some of them you can perma buy the normal version for the balloons, and some of them are cold ships, so keep that in mind. The Napoli, for example, while it is an absolute amazing ship, you can grind it for free for coal. Keep in mind though, Napoli B and Napoli count as different ships, so even if you have a Napoli, you could potentially drop a Napoli B out of the crate because it's two different ships. If that happens though, you get a mission for the balloons during this event at least. Kearsarge next, also I think a cold ship currently available, but extremely strong, 12 NC guns and a hybrid with the capability to launch planes. Overall, solid ship. A bit boring to play because the mean reload is pretty long on the guns. But it's definitely extremely strong and still one of the best tier 9s, tier 9 BBs that you can also get for coal. So keep that in mind. Next up, we have the Mines. The Mines is a hard ship to play. It really is a hard ship to play, at least for people who are new to the game. This is extremely hard because you're extremely squishy. You're not allowed to play too aggressive. However, this thing has really good gun DPM. It has 1250s and it can dish out a lot of damage. You also have quarter pens. You can also pen with the HE quite a bit. But if you can get these AP volleys off, absolutely cracked boat. You just need to keep preserve your HP because you don't have a heal. But the damage output is pretty good on this boat. Next up, we have Chekalov, as I stated earlier with the Karga, one of the most broken CVs on tier 8. Extremely strong. Good dive bombers, decent skip bombers, and yeah, well, the torpedoes are kind of like okay, but you can drop them as well, and especially if people camp nose in, they can be fairly effective. Whoever just donated, thank you so much.
Please buy 1 Black Friday container and open ITTT.
Thank you so much, bro. I will buy one afterwards. Saipan, I can't judge. That's the one thing I can't judge. I don't think it's that good of a tier 8 CV, but I'm keeping my personal opinion out of it because, again, I barely pay CVs and I don't really see Saipans often. So a CV player needs to tell me if this is a good or bad ship. Generally speaking, it still has a lot of influence because plane spotting, but the actual damage output, I think it's behind Karga and Chekalov. Next up, we have the Mesa, also an absolutely great ship that you cannot get currently as a normal ship as far as I'm aware of. So this is one of the more unique ones because the normal Mesa is not available at the moment, I think. It's a very good ship. It's very durable, tanky. It has a short duration here. The guns are kind of okay. Like they tend to be pretty inaccurate, but you do have 406 millimeters, meaning you overmatch 27, and you also have decent secondaries. It's a very good ship for ranked as well in that department. So Mesa is a great pick as well. Etago, for those of you who know the normal Etago, it's a pretty nice kiting cruiser as well. Decent concealment, decent guns, decent torpedoes, but rather squishy. Overall, though, pretty solid T8 cruiser, let alone having it the heal is already nice on a cruiser to have. And it has also really good concealment. Only downside is really the bad turret traverse, in my opinion. Next up, Asashio. Asashio is a one-trick pony. Although, funnily enough, Asashio can be extremely effective still on T8. Basically, it's a Kagero class, if I'm not wrong. But it does have deep water torps that can only hit CVs and battleships. They're extremely stealthy, they're hard hitting, and you have insane range of them. You also have a torpedo reload booster on top. So, this ship is, depending how you see it, in a heavily BB convoluted lobby, which tends to happen a lot lately. Because BBs are just giga popular for being so easy to play. It can be pretty decent. However, in DD to DD fights, you have to play with your concealment because, yes, your guns have decent alpha, but the reload is rather tragic. So keep that in mind. It's a one-trick pony that just completely bullies battleships, which I support. But there are better tier 8 DDs, such as Cossack, for example. Or the next one, the Loyang. Loyang is a Benson class, but you have a 5.5 km Hydro, which gives you extremely good utility when it comes to cap contesting, and you also have the nice American smoke screens on it. You don't have the Pan-Asian ones, you do have the American smoke screens, if I'm not wrong. So extremely strong in cap contesting, a decent boat, torpedoes are alright, so even though the ship is pretty old, it's still a valid pick. And next up, we have the Alaska. Alaska is also one of the best tier 9 cruisers in the game. Accurate guns, extremely hard-hitting 305s, improved AP angles, rather durable for a ship as well, although not as much as it used to be because there's so many 30mm overmatch boys now in the game, but still a very good pick. It can dish out quite some damage. It's not that easy to punish unless you like suicide in, and yeah, decent AP, decent HE, decent HP pool. And a tier 9 ranked for also a pretty good cruiser pick, to be honest, thanks to the improved AP angles. Next up, we have John Bart. John Bart is a ship that is pretty... I mean, it's not bad, don't get me wrong. And in fact, it got kind of buffed this patch without changing the stats. Let me go into it. John Bart is a ship that is basically Richelieu. and you have your guns only in the front. You do have, though, a reload booster, giving you like the ability to shoot in quick succession very fast, and you also have a bit more consistent guns than Richelieu. They're only 380s though, so you tend to spam a lot of HG from time to time as well, although the HG is pretty good when it comes to alpha, so that's not the bad thing. However, you're covered in 32, and again, the guns can be a bit wonky sometimes, so if you commit too hard nose in, you usually get to farm down. So you have to play the ship a bit more safe, and you cannot gas it fully in. Now, what is with the buff I meant? Basically, back in the day, the biggest weakness of Chambard was that people could break the turrets completely. Like, you lose a turret, and you can repair it, and sometimes you lost your turrets completely. That has been removed from the games. Even if your turrets are blacked out, they're down for like a minute or so, but you will get them back. Back in the day, what happened is you would just lose your front turrets, and you had no main guns left, and that was like giga cringe for Chambard, because for those of you who haven't seen it, I have a clip on my YouTube channel, a short, where I play Tianjing, and I fight a nose in Chambard. I break his turrets like 5 times, and he loses them completely in the end, and he couldn't play with main guns against me anymore. I could just abuse my raw pen against his guns. This is luckily not possible anymore, because if you manage to disengage, you will get your turrets back up again. That's a fair thing to notice, because that's a big buff for Chambard. Next up, we have Atlanta. Atlanta is still a pretty good boat, although, again, not that easy to play. If you play this thing in a division on low tier, it's kind of nuts, because you have, first of all, solid gun performance, and you have a radar. Also, you have insanely high firing arcs, allowing you can shoot over mountains and so on, where people could usually not lob over. It's not very beginner friendly, because you can get humped quite easily. But if you're a bit familiar with light cruiser gameplay, it's definitely still a nice ship to play on tier 7. Next up is the Sims. Sims is alright. It's nothing really special on tier 7, to be honest. It's your average American DD. You can choose between 2 different top layouts or something, I remember. Other than that, American guns, American smoke screens. And I think, I'm not sure, but I think Sims had something with a secret credit modifier or something. It had something going on that was only on Sims. I don't know if it's better matchmaking or better secret credit modifier. Something was there. I don't know it right now, so I'm not going to lean out of the window. But I think there was something special with the Sims. XP modifier, that's it. That's it. He has a base XP modifier. That's like something you have usually not on ships. Next up, Shanost. Okay, I do think Shanost 43 is better. So if you have the choice, I would always take Shanost 43 for the better secondaries, because the main guns should be not bad on Shanost, and it also has 2.0 Sigma, but I never really feel it, and I feel they're rather inconsistent. It's still on the right boat, but if I had the chance, I would take Shanost 43 over this. Next up is München, and München might be the worst ship of all of them here. München is a light cruiser that has extremely weak HE, and also the AP. I mean, if you can make it work on upper belts, it's okay, but you have still actually pretty sad DPM. You have only 8 guns, you have a very squishy hull. It's just a bad ship all around. I don't really like it. I think, for example, a Weimar, which is on the same tier, is much better, because you just dish out damage crazily, and you have the same low survivability as this. Next up, Lazo. Lazo, also really decent tier 7 farmer. Lazo has the ability to launch a spotter plane, which is rapidly available again. You have a spotter plane that's a bit shorter, but it has basically no cooldown. So you can constantly spam the 152 Soviet HG on longer ranges, which is really, really strong. And especially against newer players on tier 7, you can farm them bound quite crazily, and you're not really getting hit on these ranges back. They're also pretty easy to aim the guns. You just have to keep in mind you're rather squishy, so this is not a ship for pushing, but other than that, it's a pretty decent one. It has insane amount of range, and you can get the spotter plane up. Yeah. Also, if you tend to be top tier, I think you like pretty much outrange every BB in the game. There might be an exception like Congo, but if you're top tier, you can like stay outside of the range of BPs even and shoot them. It's kind of cracked, honestly. Next up, we have Rhode Island. This is an insane car. This is an absolutely insane boat, and you cannot get the normal Rhode Island currently. Rhode Island is absolutely bonkers, and in my opinion, one of the top 3 battleships, or top 4 battleships currently in the game. insanely good gun performance, insanely good reload, improved AP angles, ridiculously fast cooldown on a heal, improved secondaries, and a radar. The only real downside you have with Rhode Island is it's rather squishy. So you could play it more. You could argue it's more like a large cruiser, like Alaska or so on, because you can be overmatched in the nose and back, and it does have a hittable citadel on the side, and the Georgia hull in general, so it's rather squishy. But still far more tanky than most cruisers on its tier, because obviously more HP pool, faster heal cooldown, and it still has 38mm of middle deck armor and side plating. But the guns are absolutely insane, and this is one of the best ships you can currently get in the game. And you can only get it out of the crates because the normal one is not there. The normal one might be in Christmas crates, I'm not sure. I think it actually is in Christmas crates as well. But again, here you have a 12% chance to get it. In the normal ones, yeah. And the Christmas ones, it's far lower. Also, keep in mind, most of them you can directly purchase. So if you don't need to risk it with the thingy here, with the crates, of course, you can also directly purchase it. And currently you have the World of Warships. Like, what I would say is, right now, if you're a newer-ish player and you collected a lot of doubloons from all these 10-year celebration, it might be worth it investing the doubloons into the Rhode Island here, because you will get an absolutely insane boat with it, for sure. And you can save a lot of doubloons, obviously, on it, because you get a lot of free doubloons currently in the game, rather than gambling just some crates. So keep this in mind. It's a really, really good ship. Next up, you have the Carl Johan. Carl Johan is an okay BB. It doesn't really excel at anything. It has good long-range torpedoes. I think it has Halland torpedoes. I'm not sure if it has Halland torpedoes. Like, they do low damage, but they are fast, and you have a lot of range, and you have 16 of them. It's a pretty good ship in co-op, not in co-op, in like bot missions and so on. And it also can be decent in ranked for like runs with the torpedoes on tier 9. But the main guns are kind of okay-ish. You lack range as well a bit. Like, it's a solid boat. It's not bad. It's not terrible. Next up is Nostra. Nostra is a ship that can survive extremely long because you have really good concealment and you have a super heal. However, it has really good torpedoes as well. However, you pay it with insanely low gun DPM. Like, your gun DPM is pretty tragic on this boat. Yes, it's Soviet 130s, so they're easy to aim, but the reload sucks and you have only 4 guns. So keep that in mind. You trade a lot for the super heal and low deckability and the decent torpedoes. Also, the torpedoes are reloading extremely long, so if you miss them, it's kind of pain. But it's alright. Next up, we have Pommern. For those of you who know me, I think Pommern is an okay ship in ranked, although I think most Tech 3 cruisers are better in ranked, such as Los Andes or Prinz Ruprecht. It's pretty good in operations, but it does suck in randoms, in my opinion. I think it's a pretty tragic boat in randoms because you have no overmatch, you have shitty gun angles, you rely on secondaries, which you might not be able even to use. So Pommern is a thing. As if you know my channel, I'm not a big fan of the ship, and I actually despise it quite a lot. Next up, we have Yoshino, the big Zao. Pretty good when it comes to farming people on long range, but it does lack the impact. However, you have also pretty nice torpedoes, either 12 km or 20 kms. With the player base and its playstyles, I even recommend the 20 kms because even though they're worse, but you tend to get a lot of torpedo hits because I don't know how people even eat them. I can't explain it, but they tend to eat them. So we even hit DDs with it, so why not? But yeah, you have to play the ship rather defensive and more on range. You can't really push in it unless you don't have BB threats. Once you have no BB threats, the ship can be really tanky as long as you don't drop broadside and has pretty decent HP pool as well. The AP and HG are amazing, so definitely not a bad ship. Next up, we have the USS Black. The Black. Great. You have a Fletcher class, 5 guns. You have 10 torpedoes, which are extremely slow, but they have insane range and insane deckability and good damage. Now, the torps are called in the community sea mines because they move extremely slow, like extremely slow. But you still have worse reaction time on them than most other torpedoes on the tier because they're so stealthy. So as long as you don't have a hydro against the enemy, these torpedoes can be a nasty surprise. And then again, you have 5 guns. You have American smoke screens, and the best part about it is you have also a Raider, a 7.5 cam Raider. You have smoke and Raider in one ship with solid gun performance. So this is also one of the best tier 90Ds in the game and an all-time favorite of me. If you like the Fletcher, you will feel at home here. 5.8 conceal. Absolutely amazing boat. Also one of the best ones you can get out of here. Next up, Brandenburg. Brandenburg, just like with the Pommern or Scharnhorst, it's alright. But it does... I mean, Brandenburg is actually pretty fun when it comes to punishing cruiser broadsides. But then again, they can also angle in and then you're forced to shoot HE and so on. So it's okay. Nothing better. Next up, Iwami. Iwami is okay as well. It's solid. It has pretty good gun reload. It has also decent gun dispersion on long range. The closer you get, the worse it gets though. And you have only 8 guns instead, for example, with the Izumo 9 or with the Heisen 12. So keep that in mind. It also does have torpedoes with long range. And it actually has fairly solid secondaries. You should never build into them. But if you tend to end up in a brawl, which you not often, but then they can dish out quite some damage. But do not build into secondaries. This is a ship for medium and long range combat because your armor will not be surviving much. Plus, you grieve your main gun performance if you're like completely point blank range. Next up is the Brisbane. Brisbane is the Minotaur, the Australian Minotaur with HE. You lose half of the DPM, pretty much of a Mino, for getting HE. But you also have insanely good torpedoes and the 12 cam Raiders. Overall, I prefer Mino personally, but Brisbane is still a very good ship. It's very squishy though, so keep that in mind. It's a super light cruiser. You also have a super heal, but you still don't want to get shot by BBs because they will citadel you rather easily, so you want to use terrain and so on. But it's fairly nice in stopping pushes with the 20 torpedoes it has, 13.5 cam range, and also the HE means you can farm down nose-in targets far better. So it's a very good ship in the end. It's just heavily depends on the player skill, because if you're not good at the game, you will suffer in this thing immensely. Unlike in the BB, for example. Next up is Zuma. Solid gun performance, but the hull is absolute garbage because unlike Yoshino, you're covered in 27mm and not 30mm. Doesn't sound like a big deal, but you gotta remember that means every 406mm gun or bigger will overmatch you. Meanwhile, Yoshino can at least tank at least the 406mm on the metal plating, which is for me a game breaker. I know there's a lot of people who love the Azuma, and if you're top tier against tier 7s, it's actually a really disgusting ship. But even on tier 7s, you have ships like Colorado, they can just ignore your armor and smash you regardless, so keep that in mind. It heavily depends which battleships you fight in that match. And last but not least is the Alabama. Now, the Alabama doesn't bring anything special to the table, but it's also not a bad ship. You get decent 406mm guns, you get decent armor protection, but that's it. Nothing else to add really on top of it. A decent torpedo belt as well, to be fair. But it doesn't have any specials like improved heal or better secondaries or so on. It's just a solid USBB. It's a bit like an NC. It's a more armored NC, but a bit less consistent than NC. So yeah, those are all the ships. As you noticed when I talked over them, most of them are pretty good. And this is what I think is also worth noting. Some of them you can get for cold though, so keep that in mind. But worth noting, most of the ships in these crates are extremely good. That does not tend to apply with the Christmas crates, so keep that in mind. There's far worse stuff in there as well. And, like, honestly, even the lower ones are pretty decent. So, if you really want to try your luck with the containers, I would recommend going for the Black Friday ones and not for the Christmas ones, unless you have a lot of ships. Because 12% chance to get a Rhode Island instead of like 0 point something when it drops is quite a big difference. Also keep in mind, most of the ships, not all of them, but you can directly purchase as well. So if you don't want to try your luck and just directly get it, it's here as well available. Now we're gonna buy one crate, just one, because a viewer said I should do it. Although I don't expect to get any ship out of it because we have all the ships. What do I actually get if I have all the ships? Let's see. If you have all the items, you get 2,500 doubloons. Let's see if I get the doubloons. I don't think I will, because 12% chance, but we'll see. Yeah, I got blue boosters, which are also pretty good though. So I hope you enjoyed this video and a little overview about the Black Friday ships. And be sure again, guys, to like, comment, and subscribe on the YouTube channel. It would really help me out. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye.